As the year of 2020 has come to a close, the Zelda community now begins looking for an answer when we might see the highly anticipated Breath of the Wild sequel. I think it's time to just sit down and take a look back at what we actually saw this year and be happy for that. Oh wait, there was no news on the game this year. Nothing, not even a little 5-second teaser, promotional shot, logo teaser, even a, and I dare say this, good leak. I mean, come on, the full of leakers can't even be arsed to make up lies about this game anymore. What is going on with this game? Sound familiar? Well, I recently discovered through channel polls and posts and just interacting with you guys that the situation of this game is actually still pretty confused about and unclear within the community. And considering I started last year off with a video called Where Will Breath of the Wild 2 Begin, I thought it would be kind of funny to do another video in that same sense of asking a question about the game with the hope that we get some news shortly into the year to start building upon. So to kick off 2021, I want to cover and hopefully clear up what exactly is going on with the sequel and when we can likely expect it. Be sure to go and grab yourself a snack or drink to kick off the year and send them in on social media to get featured right here, and let's discuss the Breath of the Wild sequel. Firstly, what has happened? I mean, it's kind of important to know this before getting into what could happen, so we'll start with a brief recap of what we have so far, as this will come in handy later when linking to the potential of 2021. So it all started back on a rainy night, I'm just kidding. So it all started back on the 11th of June 2019. Nintendo dropped a surprise trailer that quite honestly shocked the entire Zelda community. There were theories flying left, right and centre, despite the trailer only being around 1 minute long. Yeah, let's just say some of us are a little bit guilty of milking it. Jokes aside, it was a huge deal. A large majority of fans thought that we would probably see more come December time, but we didn't. Which at that point was okay. I mean, I didn't have a breakdown or two, you know. Fair enough. Maybe Nintendo just aren't ready to show anything new yet. Come early 2020, we'll see something. Nope. Yeah, 2020 had nothing. This entire year was filled with nothing regarding the sequel and has a lot of fans worried as to when exactly we'll hear some news, and understandably so. I personally believe that as fans we should always be patient with the developers, as it is a work of art and I'd prefer to play a finished game, if you know what I mean. There is also the circumstances of this year which come into it and we all have to understand. But obviously they have been working on the game, and we do know this actually, as during the announcement for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, a spin-off title, the series producer, Mr. IG Aonuma, said that the sequel is still in development and that they need more time before being able to show off more. Whilst being a little frustrating, I can understand that. Basically, that is the current situation up to now. Since the sequel's announcement back over a year and a half ago, we have had nothing. So when can we expect some news and the inevitable release of the game? Firstly, we need to truly understand when this game began development. Now I know, at the end of that reveal trailer, it did say the words, "The sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is now in development." And whilst that is likely true, the game as a whole probably actually began development in around early 2018, and let me explain why. So something that is commonly known with the Zelda developers is that they are usually made of two main teams, the 3D and 2D department. We're looking at the 3D. Now, these teams have changed slightly in recent years, but to keep this simple, we're looking at the 3D team. Basically, it is known through interviews and magazines that whenever one Zelda game is released, the next one begins the early stages of its development shortly after. Like, we're talking months after. Now you may be asking yourself, if it was only months after, why did I say early 2018 and not mid-2017 following the release of Breath of the Wild? Well, that is because Breath of the Wild featured DLC. This took the rest of 2017 to create and release, more so the second pack, The Champion's Ballad, as that released on December 7th, 2017. Shortly after this is when we can assume the true development of the sequel began. If we take the most recent example, Breath of the Wild, we know that this game actually began development in 2011, almost immediately after Skyward Sword's development ended. That's right, not after its release, but after its development. So Breath of the Wild actually began its first steps before Skyward Sword was even released. How weird is that to think about? 2017's Breath of the Wild officially began work before 2011's Skyward Sword even came out. Wow. We know all of this thanks to Shigeru Miyamoto. Now, I could read the whole interview and articles word for word, but instead I will just link them below and share the important parts here in the video. Miyamoto had said in June 2011 that the team are going to be working to bring a fully HD Zelda title following Skyward Sword, that HD title being Breath of the Wild, Nintendo's first ever new HD Zelda game. Obviously we saw the HD remakes of Twilight Princess and The Wind Waker as well. So back to the actual topic of the video, how is this relevant to when we could see Breath of the Wild 2? Well, the first game took 6 years to release, but do not worry, the sequel will not take that long. In fact, it will probably take less than half of that. Probably. You see, Breath of the Wild had a unique circumstance. The game was originally planned to come out on the Wii U, and just the Wii U. However, when the Nintendo Switch became a thing in the works, the idea came around to port Breath of the Wild to this new upcoming console as well, and what a decision that was. Launching Breath was crucial to the Switch's initial success. However, this set the release of Breath of the Wild back a good 1 to 2 years due to having to port it. So yeah, fun fact for you, Breath of the Wild on Switch is actually a port of a Wii U game. Anyway, that explains why Breath took so long, but typically, a Zelda game takes between 3 to 4 years to develop and release. Breath of the Wild 2 would have truly began work in early 2018, shortly after the Champion's Ballad. Now, 2018 plus 3 to 4 years would take us to 2022 or 2023, right? Well, yes, but we need to remember that this game will be using the same engine as Breath of the Wild, reusing many assets from the first game, just like Majora's Mask did with Ocarina of Time, and that game was finished within 1 year due to this technique of using the same engine and assets. In this case, we can assume that the sequel to Breath of the Wild will take, say, a year and a half less maybe. Maybe more due to there being no need for a new engine and an entire set of new assets and designs. I mean, they already have Link, Zelda, the Champions, the King, they also have Ganondorf now. So a lot is already established and doesn't need to be created from scratch. Because of all of this, we can realistically believe the sequel to Breath of the Wild to release sometime around the end of this year. And I say that with so much confidence based on these facts. That would put the game at a 3-year development cycle, with the added benefits of having a world already made and only needing additional areas, assets, and basically just being reused and smart resourcefulness wise. This is my honest prediction based on the facts and past patterns in the series. I hope that this information helps to clear up the situation of what has actually been going on. The game has been in development for a while. It didn't just start when this trailer dropped, it had already been going on. And I hope this just seems to shed some light on how past games have released, how they've worked, and how that can relate to this. I hope it gives you a better understanding of what we're looking at. Now, there are still a couple of small questions to answer. Firstly, why did the trailer in 2019 say that it is now in development? What this likely means is that the new digital aspects of the game have begun development, hence why we saw a trailer. But prior to all of this, other aspects such as planning, story writing, concepts, and all of that were probably already in the works. Obviously the game didn't literally just recently begin development at the time of the trailer. This most likely meant that digital development had begun. As for the other question still unanswered, when can we expect more news on the game? Well, funny enough, it is actually the 35th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda on the 21st of February 2021, and the team tend to do special announcements and projects for their milestones. For example, Skyward Sword was a project dedicated to the 25th anniversary back in 2011. I mean, the game even came with an orchestrated soundtrack special. The 30th anniversary in 2016 was celebrated initially by a line of Skyward Sword amiibo and the game becoming available via Virtual Console, 3 new books, the announcement of a Zelda concert which goddamn I never managed to attend, and later in the year at E3 they showed off the very first gameplay of Breath of the Wild. So we can assume that for the 35th anniversary this year that we will see a few different announcements, hopefully a trailer for the sequel and maybe even some ports or remakes, but I'll take either. So I hope that this video helps to clear up some of the common confusion within the community. Keep in mind that this is a mix of facts and assumptions based on facts. So don't come to me when we actually get a goddamn Just Dance f***ing Zelda edition instead of Breath of the Wild 2. Thanks a ton for checking out the video, you lovely human. If you enjoyed or perhaps learned something new, then consider hitting that little subscribe button down below and drop a like to help the channel out. What can I say really? I hope that we see the sequel this year. But be sure to leave a comment down below with your predictions for when you think we might see the game. I don't want to ramble too much, but I would like to personally thank each and every one of you for your amazing support throughout the year of 2020. I cannot describe how incredibly appreciated your support and loyalty is sometimes. It makes creating these videos all the more enjoyable, just seeing you guys enjoy them. Thank you all so much. And today, the day of this video's upload, the 4th of January, is actually my YouTube anniversary. This marks my 5th year since I uploaded my very first video, so thank you for sticking by me. Another special thank you goes out to my channel supporters on both Patreon and YouTube. Through this support, I am able to make these videos week in, week out with a little bit of stress. It is greatly appreciated. If you'd like to help bring in these videos weekly and get your name featured at the end of all of them, then consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube. Again, thanks for watching, and until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.